This is my fantasy. To be dropped off in the middle of nowhere and to be able to go anywhere. Completely alone with no schedule, no intrusions, and not even a defined route. This is where I'll be spending the next 17 days. A remote, lake-studded wilderness, all protected within a 1.1 million acre park reserve. A legendary park that has never been logged and has no roads within its boundaries. This is my goal, to cross the park diagonally from its northwest corner where I'll be dropped off, to my pickup point at the southeast end, zigzagging through it any way I like, depending on what catches my eye on the map and what conditions arise. But there's one factor that concerns me about this park. It's not this, or that, or those, or these. It's this. Extreme forest fires in recent years scorched the park, reducing mature forest to a skeleton and burying the ancient portage trails in the aftermath. But the burn will be a new experience, and it's worth trying everything once. At least I hope I feel that way in 17 days. My start point on Artery Lake was only partly burnt, but the real damage was not far off. The scenes from the air were not the last powerful sight of the day. The strip begins on the Bloodvein River system, which is renowned for its Anishinaabe rock paintings, some of which date back 3,000 years, and it's considered one of the most impressive pictograph sites in the entire country.
I had no plans for covering any distance today, but with good conditions, couldn't resist with the first obstruction on the Bloodvein and no obvious trail. So starting out with a little trail hunting. Well, there was no sign of a trail there really, so I'm going to try the other one. Two options to get around this section. Well, this is going to be at camp number 1 in Woodland, Caribou. Nice spot beside the Bloodvein with a couple of eagles over there beside a nest. And the start of a portage which looks way better than the other ones. So that's a good call. Gonna get dinner going and then have a look at the map. cheese and potato pierogies for night one. Between waking up at 4 a.m., driving, flying, and getting here, it's my first real meal today, so it's gonna be good. So I'm super excited for this trip, and there are many reasons why, but three main ones. Woodland Caribou is a park I've dreamt of coming to for a long time, and a lot of paddlers do in this area. It's a bucket list destination. 2, if all goes well, it'll be my longest solo ever. So that's just exciting. I think that'll be really rewarding. And 3, and most of all, is the style of trip. Let's have a look. This is a high-level look at the park. I got dropped off there on Artery Lake today, right on the border of Manitoba and Ontario. This is Atakaki Provincial Park on the other side. There's a huge wilderness area here, and I'm right in the heart of it. You've got the Blood Vein River system here on the north side of the park, and on the southern half, the Gammon River system. And those two should feature heavily in my route, but I don't really have a route. I can go anywhere. There are various ways down into the center of the park. Got this more detailed map here. So I've just done this little section today, and I'll continue up the Blood Vein, and then we'll see where I get down. But I'm thinking through Dunstan Lake. That's my plan A, but I'm gonna take it day by day. Endless opportunities here. Just so many lakes and portages to connect them. So excited. Damp start this morning for day 2. Got some rain overnight, but now it's a beautiful morning. Camper's delight when that happens. High is 15 today too, nice and cool, just my style. I'm gonna get a good hearty breakfast going and get on my way. I'm really excited for today. Black bean mix, dehydrated hash browns, onion, jalapeno, and green onion, all wrapped up in these little beauties. The meals won't be this elaborate for very long, but hardly any portages here at the start of the trip, so I'm gonna enjoy it. I'll be relying on fish for several meals on the trip, but up here should be no problem catching them. So I'm back in the tent for this trip, and I'm gonna really miss the hammock for such a long trip, but with the burns, it just doesn't make sense to bring something that requires hanging off trees. It would have been a huge issue last night. Burns are a very natural part of the ecosystem here, but in recent years there were some huge forest fires. One of them was over 150,000 hectares, and it burnt the majority of the park, but there's still lots of pockets of forested areas and still lots of life. Another flock of geese just went by, and a couple of swans. Time for me to get on my way too. So a few tidbits on Woodland Caribou. This map alone has more than 5,000 lakes on it and 2,000 kilometers of canoe routes within the park. Unlike most other wilderness parks, the original Woodland Caribou Park has never been logged and has no roads within its boundaries. And there are stats out there that say that the park receives fewer than 1,000 paddlers per year, but since the big fires, my outfitter said that it's more like a little over 600. So there's a quote in the map that says, "You can still take a 2-week trip without seeing it." Well, right as I was about to say, it's very possible to paddle 2 or 3 weeks through this park and not see a soul. I see Don come around the corner. Nice guy, just met him from Minnesota. He's retired and he's spending his
retirement in places like this. A great thing to do. It's nice to run into someone like-minded up here though, as much as I like the solitude. Don's got a really nice setup there with a 28-pound boat. Mine weighs about 50. I'm really glad I ran into him because he told me some really valuable information about the route. He also said that the fishing has been really slow, so that's good to know as well, considering I need a few meals from them. Plan today is to paddle through Mary's Lake, where I am right now, up the Blood Vein, Barclay Lake, and hopefully a little beyond. And I was flying over this horseshoe-shaped bend in the river yesterday and thinking, oh, I wish I could go there. And I was very happy to realize it was on my route. Just finishing up through Mary's Lake and back into that horseshoe section of the Blood Vein. And there's a beautiful tailwind today. Gotta love it. Well, I flew down the west half of the horseshoe with the tailwind and then had to fight it for the rest, but into Barclay Lake, and then I'll be turning south again, hopefully with the wind. At the south end of Barclay Lake now, and it looks like there's a dead moose over there with a turkey vulture eating it. As they rot, gases build up in them and they inflate like a balloon, and the smell is pretty awful, so I think I'll just let the turkey vulture eat. Across from the outlet of Sabarin Lake, which is a big one. It's a relief to see some shoreline that isn't thoroughly scorched. So I'm going to be looking for camp here before I get back into another burn.
No way. Is that a fisher?
Well, that was awesome. I've never got a good look at a fisher before, unless it was a pine marten, which is smaller, but I was looking at it through this, so hard to tell. Well, camp number 2 is much more my style. You can see the next island down got burnt. This one's almost connected to it, but somehow didn't. But there's tons of nice jack pine fuel here. It's pretty pristine, nice and cozy. Felt like some mac and cheese tonight. You can wolf this down. and get out of the sun. So here's where I ended up for day 2, and there's several ways of connecting the blood vein to the gammon. On the west side and east side there are some options with some very long portages, so naturally I'd like to avoid that. Dunstan Lake, that's my plan A, Laris Creek, and then south from Murdoch Lake. Any of those will do. I don't know, I'm going to sleep on it. Got the fly pulled back tonight, hoping for a little stargazing.
It's gonna be a good one.
Nice rock wall to start off day 3, and birds of prey all over the place. Turkey vultures soaring around here, and I've seen at least a dozen eagles so far. Yesterday I was feeling a bit worried that I'd made a mistake coming here for such a long trip, but there's going to be beauty in the burn. I'm going to find pockets that are unburnt, and right now I'm just feeling so happy to be here. So I've decided which way to go, and I'm going to stick with Dunstan. There's a east wind today, and if I continue up the blood vein toward Murdoch, I'll be fighting that all day. That's good enough reason. And then it's going to be burnt over there too, with even more portages, so I'm going to give this creek a shot. Heading for Simeon Lake now. Fantastic. Just saw a beautiful bull moose, which is the thing I was really hoping to see on this trip. I've been spoiled with other wildlife in the last year, but I haven't seen bulls in quite a while. So, and that one's velvet was coming off its antlers, and you could see they were all bloody from it. Really cool. It was feeding right here. This trip's shaping up to be a beauty. Into Simeon Lake. Got my line in the water coming across Simeon, and a bite. First one of the trip, and it's a tiny pike. Let it go here. A little small for keeping. Cute. Found a jewel of a campsite here on Simeon, and I'm going to call it quits early today because the next section of the route is probably going to have little reprieve from the carnage. So I'm going to take the afternoon and clean this up. A fun project to work on and a beautiful campsite to enjoy before I head back into the burns. I put on a new saw blade for this trip, knowing I'd need it. Time to put it to work.
Not something to come across often here. Big long snake skin. It's funny, even the skin seems to slither. It's a good length. No poisonous snakes here. Not in this region. Check out the fatwood on this jack pine. All the resin in the tree, you can settle on the dead limbs, and yeah, that'll burn like a torch. This is bliss. Pretty perfect camp. Fire's ready to light. Good water access now. And a wonderful tent pad back there. Dehydrated refried beans on the menu today. Cold soaked them, cooked them nice and slow on the fire with some onion and jalapeno and a little hot sauce. Delicious. Got to use up all the fresh stuff ASAP. A lot of water weight in it, and it's the most perishable, of course. And the portages are about to ramp up. Big flock of sandhill cranes migrating overhead, and other than that, not a peep. Not a speck of garbage here either. It's pristine. I thought I saw a little bit of plastic. It was just the wing of a dragonfly. Life's too good right now. Don't really need much for dinner tonight, so I'm having some mint tea and one of these as a dessert. I've never bought one before because it just seemed frivolous compared to real food, but it's a chocolate mudslide. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 10. It's pretty much just chocolate pudding, but with some mint. There's the beaver. Mint and chocolate, can't go wrong. There are tons of birds around. Bird life's been excellent so far. And there's a bug hatch of some sort, and all the thousands of them sound like a swarm of mosquitoes or bees or something. They don't bother me, no bugs bothering me, just peace. Very short day today, but got a great campsite outside the Burns, so I'm happy. Tomorrow into Dunstan Lake. 5 portages or obstacles in the way. up early for day 4 to get on the water before a south wind kicks up. Coffee, another round of burritos, using up almost the last of the fresh stuff. And I'm ready for the next leg of the trip.
Best campsite so far. That'll be tough to beat. The stargazing last night too. They were fantastic. You know how people go camping and they're always like, oh, this water is the best. It's the cleanest water in the world. Well, normally it does taste like that, but here it's kind of dirty. And there's a thick scum of pollen, I think, on the water here. But there's also just been a lot of sediment, and I have to wonder what clouds of ash raining down on the water does in the years to follow. Anyway, it's alright.
Wow. Just barely caught sight of this from the water. This one really caved in on itself. Always interesting to see these. Old trapper's cabin. Look at the size of this bow saw.
South end of the lake and starting out into Simeon Creek. I always love creek travel. It's so full of life and peaceful, and this headwind's kicking up, so glad to be on small water today and looking for the first of 5 obstacles. There's a portage here.
Looks pretty good. Just one bit of blowdown, otherwise the trail's in great shape. Just dropped off the first load into this marshy section ahead. Looks beautiful.
Beautiful. Carrying on into South Simeon Lake now.
That's it for South Simeon, and it's on to the next carry. Trails are not marked in Woodland, Caribou, nor campsites, and that can mean for some trail findings at times, but my map says something to the effect of people travel through this land for thousands of years with none of that, nor compasses, GPSs, or maps. So just enjoy the challenge. It can be rewarding, can be frustrating, but all good so far. This headwind's picking up, but it should be a reasonably nice paddle up the creek. A couple of peanut butter and honey wraps to power me through. Dawn said it could get nasty at one point with some blowdown, but we'll see how bad it is. I'm sure I'll get through it. Dry boot phase of the trip officially over. Just enough water for me to wade through here. Well, better than carrying. This creek's getting real small suddenly. Lots of rocks like that. Hopefully there's gonna be enough water to float through the next section. Still a ways to go to Dunstan. Really glad that I camped where I did, because there's nowhere to camp here. It'd be just about impossible, and it's a long section in general, so it's good to give myself a fresh day for it. Not too bad. Getting fairly close now too. See the blaze. Last portage ahead. Well, that's it. Through the creek. It was beautiful. I'm glad I did it, but I'm glad to be done too. Now I've got to find camp. Hopefully there's something decent in this burn. Live trees here on Dunstan. Not many. The wind is pretty intense coming out onto the main lake, so something's gonna have to work here. Maybe this. Wind is wicked out there. So glad this was here. Got dry shoes on. A little chocolate. So Camp 4 has turned out pretty nicely after some cleanup. Nice fire pit. It's ready to light as soon as the wind dies down. Can't wait to have dinner, but it's a little too windy. And this site would have been a gem when it was a mature jack pine site. Still looking pretty good. What I could really go for is a fish dinner, and since I can't start my fire yet, I might as well try. No bites. I think it's too shallow, but the good news is the water is much cleaner again. Wind finally got back down to a normal level. Got tea on, small fire there, and this is ready. Chicken coconut curry. One of my favorites of these. Another amazing morning here for day 5. Unbelievable weather so far. And I've got another fork in the road today. So while I have my coffee and rehydrate chili, I'll make up my mind. Time to get these wet boots back on and get going. It's damp this morning, very dewy, so I'm gonna have a look up that hill and let things dry out here a little bit, and then I'll show you on the map what the options are. So here's a look at the map, progress so far, and for the next few nights I think I can stay out of the burns, little pockets of it, and there's a fork here. Once I get to the bottom of Dunstan into Ugly Lake, I can either head over to Royd or over to Carroll. I do plan to go to Carroll because it's one of the most unburnt parts of the park, but I was thinking I might come this way. Right now I'm leaning towards here. There's a lake called Broken Lance Lake, which sounds beautiful. And then I can work my way back over here. So that's the plan for now. Despite the burn, this is still a beautiful lake. Tons of rock and islands. It's just a Canadian Shield gem. I'm almost glad I didn't come to this park before the big burns because it would have been pretty heartbreaking. But I'm at the end of the lake, and that means a 750 meter portage, so. This trail is called the Enchanted Portage, or at least it was before the burn, and I'm sure it was beautiful. It's full of blueberries, thousands of them. And between picking and a bit of blowdown, I spent an hour and 45 minutes on this trail, which ends in this floating bog. Kind of fun. And I'm onto Ugly Lake. Portage gave me lots of time to think about which way to go, and I wish I could camp here because it's too hot to get in anything right now, and it's stream travel either way. So decided I'm going to stick with Broken Lance. Wand is tempting because it gets to Carroll faster, but yeah, I'm going to stick with my plan. Oh, it stinks. Very sinky mud down there. It smells like farts. That's better. Got a good ways to go in this stream. If it starts to get messy, I can always turn around and head for Wanda. Beautiful at the moment though.
Well, it looked like it was going to be messy coming out of Ugly Lake, but that turned into a very peaceful paddle. Just a couple of obstacles to drag over, some nice rock exposures like this, and it sounds like there's a little falls ahead, and then I'm in Broken Lance. One of the highlights of the trip so far. On a special spot, and a nice easy portage up a stone staircase. Looks like the beauty continues here, and there is a burn ahead, but it's supposed to be an unburnt pocket after that. Hopefully I'll be setting up camp. It's my target camp ahead. It looks fantastic, and it was just barely spared by the burn. Somehow. Much needed dip, great campsite, and penne for dinner, and a little Parmesan. Yeah, it's a great site. Favorite one aside from night 3 on Simeon. Probably a tie between them, but awesome water access here. Bit of shade for the tent, which is much needed. And threw up the flies, a little extra curtain. Got a small pike. I can't understand it. The action's been so bad so far. The outfitter said it would slow down. Dawn said it was really slow. It's just hard to believe. This guy's too small for keeping. I was hoping to have a little extra dinner. Fish dinner's gonna have to wait. I'm sure it'll come eventually. It's gonna have to on this trip a few times. And I'm waking up real early to beat the heat and beat the wind, so it's time to hit the hay. Day 6, on the water at sunrise, and I'm glad I am because it's going to be a scorcher. 28 Celsius, it's not insanely hot, but it's hot for portaging with humidity, and it's supposed to be a headwind today, so getting ahead of it. Can you hear a moose back there? goes. What a beauty. First bull was big that I saw on day 3 or so, but its antlers were not that big, so that one was a bruiser. Wow. Exactly what I hoped for on this trip. Hammered out the first 3 short portages of the day. Now I'm heading for the longest one, 800 meters into Royd. Real glad I started early this morning. Last one was a bit rougher. At the start of the 800 meter into Royd, and it doesn't look too promising to start, but hopefully it's better than it looks. And I'd love to have a big meal, but don't want to let the sun get any hotter, so I'm going to get this done and then hopefully cook a meal on the other end. It's a rough start here. There's a cut log, but I can't see where a trail goes after that. And this is just the beginning. It's a rough one. Might get a little better here. Trail comes out of that marshy section. Thankfully there are a couple flags here and there, a rock cairn, because otherwise you just never see it. Pretty good view up here. This is after clearing. Almost 3 hours into the portage now, and I'm in the home stretch at least. Getting very sluggish though in this heat. And I can almost guarantee no one's been in here this year or longer. There wasn't one recent cut, so I think the other lake would have been the way to go. Wanda. Oh, thank goodness. Oh, that's good. Starting to feel pretty sluggish there and a little sick, so gotta cool down and get some food. I was hoping to stop for lunch at the end of the portage, but it's not a nice spot there. So I'm gonna hopefully find a good camp soon and just stop for the day and eat and swim. Oh, it's a nice cold lake. After I got out of the water, I laid down my CCF pad on the rock and laid out, and waves of endorphins must have been coming over me because I just started laughing. Natural high, I guess. So there I was, grinning and laughing like a maniac. And I'll probably be grinning and laughing again as soon as I have this. Cheesy chicken and broccoli. 52 grams of protein, which is impressive for one of these. Oh my goodness. Speaking of protein, I'm now into more lake trout lakes. So they're deeper and colder as opposed to more pike and walleye before. And I love lake trout. I'm still ravenously hungry after that. The thought of lake trout sounds so good right now. So I'm gonna look for camp and take the first thing that's decent. This looks promising. Been at camp for a few hours now, look like a great spot from the water, but it's actually a pretty poor campsite. But I didn't have the energy to go on, so I set up the tent, tried to sleep, but I just couldn't cool down. So I definitely had a pretty decent case of heat exhaustion. Felt like my blood was radiating heat, so that wasn't good. But it's cooling down now. Sun's gonna go down soon, and that's a huge relief. I can finally rest and let myself cool down. Day 7. On the move before sunrise, and not looking to go far today. After yesterday, I was gonna make today a full rest day, but I didn't like the campsite, so just going far enough to find a nice camp. That's it. Hopefully a fish. So yesterday I came here down from Broken Lance and did that nastiness and camped in a back bay here. And today I'm continuing back around, hoping to find a nice camp somewhere in here. But there's a south wind today. Tomorrow there's supposed to be a north wind, so I'm hoping to save as much as possible for tomorrow. It's a good sized lake. After that, I've got to decide if I'm going down Royd Creek over to Donald or down the Gammon River to Hammerhead. Royd's another beautiful Canadian Shield lake, and there are some unburned islands here, but nothing hospitable at all. So I keep going, keep pushing into this wind. Tiny campsite here to hold out for something better. This could be it. Yeah, I think this is going to be it. Nice unburnt island, actually connected with a small peninsula, but a beautiful spot, great upgrade from last night. Only problem with the site is it tapers off really slowly, so the shore fishing opportunities are terrible here, but I've got a couple meals in my barrel that I'm really looking forward to eating, so it's alright. The satisfaction of having a great campsite set up just how you like it. And I've got coffee on the way. I'm gonna cook up a nice breakfast before it gets any hotter. Also having an electrolyte tab, still feeling a bit weird from yesterday, so I think that'll perk me back up with the coffee. Coffee and bacon and eggs this morning. I've never had this fried egg before. Spent a couple hours in the tent resting, reading, and looking at the maps mostly. It's so fun just imagining all the routes. It's hard to cut things off. There's so many places I want to go, but it's just good fun. And now I'm getting some lunch going. Backcountry poutine, dehydrated hash browns, gravy, and cheese. It's pretty good. You can see why I wasn't too heartbroken about not looking for a shore lunch today. Hey, Bert. Hey. was just reading in the tent when I heard something over here. And I get out and it's a pretty good sized black bear right there. And he's been watching me for a while. It's a little close to camp for my liking. I'm suddenly glad I didn't clean a fish here. It's going up the hill, so hopefully that's it. Well, that sure adds some excitement to the day. I could tell it was a decent sized animal from the noises it was making. And I saw it and I was like, oh, bear, cool. And then I took a photo of it and zoomed in on its face in my camera, and it looked like a pretty tough customer. That changed the vibe a little. And then it started coming right to the start of the peninsula. And there is a bear poop on this little island peninsula. And yeah, I'm glad it turned around anyway. And there's a cloud. I don't think there's been any cloud cover for days during this hot spell. That feels real nice. My outfitter, Albert, also sent me a message on my SATCOM device and told me that there's pretty good aurora activity forecasted for tonight. So hopefully these skies clear up later, but I'll take the clouds for now. Well, the sun's gone and it is pretty overcast now, so hopefully that's going to clear up for the lights tonight if they come. But I've learned not to get my hopes too high with aurora. Either way, it was a great rest day. Nice to see the bear, and I'm ready for a good one tomorrow. It's not supposed to rain, so I've got the fly peeled back as I normally like to, and I'll be able to look right from the tent. Day 8, getting on my way at first light again. It is overcast and it was all night naturally. It was clear all trip, but then when the aurora forecast comes into play, nope. The sky just pulls the curtain across. You don't need to see that. Got a nice strong coffee and chili rehydrating. My plan up until a couple days ago was probably to come across this creek here, but I'm scratching all of that. That's the beauty of having a flexible route, no route. I'm gonna go down, make use of this tailwind, north wind, and let it blow me down to Hansen. And then on the more detailed map, if I get to Hansen, I'm thinking I might continue down into Rist and Aegean here. That's the plan right now. When I was starting this trip, I thought I'd be spending a lot of time on lakes like Carroll and targeting all those unburnt places, but really not concerned about it anymore. There are often unburnt islands to camp on, and there has been lots of beauty in the burns, so I'm heading into the burns. And if I keep heading this direction, I'll be getting into a burn that was over 200,000 hectares. Coming up to the end of Royd here, and then a short portage into Gammon, a couple through Middle Lake, and then one more into Hansen after that, if all goes well. Into Gammon Lake now, it's a pretty big one.
looking around for the portage into Middle Lake and wasn't seeing a thing. My maps showed it right at the back of this little bay, and so I backtracked a little, and thankfully a little orange piece of flagging tape, and it looks all right.
Off to a great start. Seen very little of this on the trip. Fresh sawdust. Should be good. Climbs quite a bit, but a nice view. I'll gladly take a climb if it means clear trails. Look at this. Keeps going up. Beautiful vantage point. This helps too. Well, I couldn't have gone any better. On to Middle Lake.
Middle Lake was part of the really bad 2021 burns, and it's one of the most thoroughly burnt that I've seen. Barely a tree survived. On to the next trail. Just gonna whip up some peanut butter and honey chocolate wraps and hammer it out.
Looks like this one's just gonna follow the bedrock. That's nice. Pure carnage. Just about nothing left. Getting hundreds of blueberries on these trails. They're wide open. This really couldn't go any better. Rust tool, baby. Bunch of sandhill cranes. Haven't seen any for a few days.
Well, today could really not be going better. It's a little cooler, there's a breeze, a little cloud cover sometimes, and those portages were great. I was worried about them. I've just got one left, and I'll be finishing the day outside the burn, it looks like. You can see the edge of the burn ahead on Hanson Lake. Beaches have been a rarity on my route, but a little nice one here on Rustool. Now they're all over the place, but what's behind that is even sweeter. Back in the green, baby! I've been wanting to come to Woodland Caribou for a long time, and you might wonder why I would come right after the burns, but look at these trees here. This looks almost for sure like a burn. It's dense jack pine, and they look to be maybe 20, at most 30 years old, I would say. And they're just clustered together. It's never, in my lifetime, I'll be dead by the time it gets back to what the forests were here. So there was no sense in waiting. Might as well just enjoy it now and experience the burn. Find these little pockets that are still left. These just caught my eye up there. Big moose bones. So thick.
Lovely cascading falls to close out my day's work, and 4 for 4 on cleared trails today. Makes such a difference for my energy levels, even on half a night's sleep. And this trail feels like a jungle compared to that last moonscape, but the moonscape is making me appreciate mature trees so much, how precious they are. It's got to be 5 degrees cooler here in this shady area. Hanson Lake.
Overdue for a refill. That tastes delicious. And just looking for camp now. I think there are some pictographs around the corner here too. Wow. Pretty impressive sight. Wow, lots of them. Coming into this trip, I had no idea what the pictograph sites look like. And the first one I saw on Artery Lake was like a little asterisk. And the rest have been amazing, like really impressive. There's another couple. Wow. Love the handprints. I'm hoping this is going to be camp for the night. It'll be the perfect place to stop at the end of this peninsula. And it's right before the next burn starts. You can see it there on the right. Tent pad. Fire pit. Another tent pad. Delicious view. I'm home.
That was a very full day. I'm going from sunrise to almost sunset. It's about 13 hours. And I'm perfectly positioned now for tomorrow. Got about halfway down Hansen. And there's some strong south winds that are supposed to kick up overnight and continue all day tomorrow. So I'll be well positioned to avoid those and just slip down this bay and head down south from there. And a night like tonight definitely calls for freeze-dried. That pad thai, it's veggie, but it has 48 grams of protein. Pretty impressive. Amazing sunset going down. What a day. Excellent campsite. Delicious dinner. Seriously, what a day. It's a good thing I didn't sleep in, because I needed every minute of it. And it seems greedy to ask for anything more today, but still hoping for northern lights. See if it stays clear. It is day 9. Maybe a little glow last night until midnight, and then it clouded up, so no real action. And the south wind is up as forecasted, and it's going to be for the next 48 hours. That's the extent of the wind forecast that I get on my SATCOM. And I'm making bacon and eggs again this morning because, oh man, I had another bad sleep. Brain's bad again. Because I opened the bacon, the pre-cooked bacon, and that needs to be used up now. Give me the elixir of life. Oh, actually does. It does rejuvenate. That heat. So the plan for today is to continue down Hansen. There should be a special site right around here, and then get into this area today with a few portages, and then take it slower for a while down into Wrist Lake and Aegean, which looks like it'll be a beautiful lake.
Wonderful way to start the day. And I've got the wind at my back. Beautiful thing about this route and being able to go wherever the wind blows me essentially is just that. put in a big day while I have the wind and then adjust for it for the next day. It's a beautiful thing compared to normal routes where you're bound to a certain path and the wind can be in your face for days at a time. Right into the first of 3 small unnamed lakes here en route to Wrist Lake. Just a peaceful big pond here basically. Small lakes are actually pretty impressive with cliffs, and I was open to camping here but nowhere to do it really, so looks like I'll probably be carrying on to Wrist Lake. On to the next.
Short 90-meter trail, fairly steep, and look at all this color. Fall is on the way. On to unnamed lake number 3. Again, surprisingly rugged and interesting.
Going through the narrows here in lake number 3 and still wishing there was somewhere to camp. Really interesting lakes.
The wind is howling here, and the next portage is 600 meters over that way. I up over a big hill into Wrist Lake. I can see on the top it climbs 100 feet rather quickly, and I really didn't want to do it today after yesterday, but this is the only campsite that I've found. A little fire pit there, and there's no good tent pad whatsoever, so I think it'll be worth it to go in the Wrist. Should be some unburnt islands there, I hope. Beauty to this burn. What a view. Canoe gets pushed around in this wind. Wrist just came into view. It looks gorgeous with some unburned islands. Well, I'm happy I did it now. Just got another load to go get. It's hard to hold on to the canoe. First 3 days of the trip, hardly had any portages, just the one I think. And then since then, the last 6 days, I've been spending a pretty big chunk of each day portaging. And I was hoping to start changing that today, but with the ones I did today, I'm in even better shape for the rest of the trip. Much lighter duty from now on. Gonna head out to these islands and hopefully find a good camp. Well, the campsite on the island is fairly burnt and tent pads suck, so I'm gonna move on. The stonework is amazing though. Someone must have got windbound here or something. There's a lot of time into that fire pit there. This is always gonna be one of the best feelings in the world. At the end of a long day, feels like there's gonna be nowhere good to camp. Any spot you find is just not great. And then something like this turns up. Amazing island. And I thought I'd be on the exposed rock there in the wind with the tent. But nope. There's just a perfect little moss pad there. The sunlight beaming down on it. Beautiful. Well, it's day 10 and the lights finally arrived last night. Nice show, they were all over the sky, even looking south. And the wind blew all night and is still blowing. It's supposed to be a little stronger than yesterday, so I'm calling it a windbound day, I think. I'm heading right into the wind, right south, so no sense to it. This is a beautiful spot to stay for the day and good shore fishing opportunities too, I think. Slow morning here, got some laundry done, and now I'm looking for my lunch. It's supposed to be a lake trout lake, so I'm casting out as far as I can, letting it fall to the bottom, and hopefully that'll get deep enough to find some lake trout. broccoli noodles for lunch. Unfortunately, in trying to get deep, I was just catching snags. I don't think I was getting that deep anyway, so there's no way I can launch the canoe to go get a snag in this wind. So enjoying it. It's a good rest day. It's kind of like being pinned down by a storm, but a lot more hospitable. It's just raging non-stop. Camp couldn't have worked out much better for the wind. The tent pad has this sheltering line of trees which really cuts the wind a lot, but nothing there is going to fall and kill me compared to those birch. Those will do some damage. It's nice comfort when this wind is up. Nothing much to report here for day 10, but I feel rested up and ready to get going tomorrow. Can't wait. And it looks like another 48 hours of pretty strong south winds, so I'll probably be fighting it, but shouldn't be quite as bad as today, I hope. If the wind lets me travel tomorrow, then I'll be into Aegean Lake, which is just one of those lakes that's calling to me. I'm looking at it on this map I have on my phone, which is Brilliant by Glenn at My Woodland Journeys. It shows the burns that I've been referencing on the trip. That's how I know where they are and where they end. And it's been pretty accurate so far, as well as campsites, scenic locations. It's been a huge help. You can see over on the west side of the park, Carroll Lake, mostly unburnt. Just a cartographically beautiful map. Wonderful work. Got everything packed up and I'll be up early, hopefully beat the wind. "6 a.m. on day 11. I was up at 5, ready to make a break for it, but the wind was pretty strong immediately and looks like it's going to be for quite a while today. I'm tempted to just make a break for it. The waves are no problem. I can handle the waves, but I'd have to claw my way through this wind to make small progress that I could easily make up once the wind's more favorable. So yeah, I don't know. I'll probably stick around here for the morning at least. I read once that the Inuit really tried not to fight nature in their travel, and that lesson has really stuck with me. Sometimes you just have to, like this wind is supposed to continue tomorrow, maybe the following day. The emotional side of me right now really wants to go. The impatience, the wanderlust, I want to get going, but you can hear that wind. I'm usually happy when the logical side of my brain wins. So, here I am, it's time for coffee. Fishing was cut short yesterday. I got irretrievably snagged and I was not going out there in the canoe to get my lure. I just did it, so I'm gonna grudgingly give it a try again and see if I can get lunch. They warned me the fishing had gone slow, but I cannot believe this in a place like this. Size down a little too. Just a small paddle tail. I've tried everything. I have a few pike to show for it. Well, the fishing's been much better today. No snags. I had a follow from a minnow, and then a little later, a second minnow followed to shore. So, an exhilarating day. The routine for the day has pretty much been make a few casts, conclude that it's pointless, go read, feel cooped up in the tent, go to the point and see what the wind's like, determine that it's too windy, and then come back and make some more coffee and tea. Not so bad. Not so bad at all. Came around to the other side of the island. Lo and behold, it's a bite. Let's just hope it's not a tiny pike. It is. Tiny pike, too small for keeping. They're just full of bones at that size. Well, the wind's finally dying down now, but it's too late in the day, losing the sun. But it looks like I'll finally get some relief tomorrow from the wind. Should be light enough in the morning to head out and then hopefully make progress, most if not for a full day. But there's a chance of torrential rain in the morning now, so hopefully it's not too bad. I can get out of here. I've really got cabin fever at this point. Just can't wait to get going, so it would take a lot to stop me. Anyway, fingers crossed for tomorrow. .30. I'm just planning on waking up now. Wind is raging and there's lightning flashing pretty regularly, so sitting tight. There's a huge storm going on just over there. Seems like the worst of the storm has passed. I'm not sure if I'm out of the woods yet based on the forecast, but I'm getting out of here. Said a fond farewell to this campsite, and the wind took no time in building back up, so as soon as I get around this point, it's gonna be a battle. At the leeward side of Wrist now, wasn't so bad, and it just feels good to be on the move again. Quite a view. That's Wrist Lake. I was camped way out there. here's where I'm heading. Streak Lake. 2 weeks before this trip, Erin and I got back from our trip to the Barren Lands in Nunavut. You can't help but notice some similarities here. Everything's burnt down to the bedrock and you can really see the landscape. There aren't trees to obscure the view. I can look for kilometers for wildlife. Not that I'm seeing any, but it's pretty cool. There were some caribou tracks down on the beach though. What a view. On to the portage. Finished the first short carry out of Wrist into Streak Lake. Carry down there, up Aegean Creek, and 2 more short ones into Aegean Lake. That's the target today. Paddling's a bit tedious in this wind. 4 straight days with a strong south wind. But I'm through Streak, glad I'm on the move, and heading into Aegean Creek. It looks like I'm saving the first carry. This creek's navigable. Easy 15-meter carry around this little shallow spot, about 100 meters out of Wrist Lake, and that's my portaging for the day. That's more like it. Well, I've been deceived, folks, by a cruel trick. That first thing I got through, that wasn't the first portage, but another very short one here. I was considering this site. It's burnt, but still pretty cool. But a big part of the problem is anywhere there was soil, like where there would be a tent pad typically, is laced with these jack pine coming back. These little beautiful saplings of hope. I'm glad they're here, but they really crowd any potential tent pad that might have been there. So I'll move on. Found a pretty cool spot here, and I'm inclined to take it, but still looking for a good tent pad. I miss my hammock a lot right now. Great view of the cliffs, and just a beautiful spot. That's a nice cold lake. Oh. Beauty in the burn, my friends. Look at the root system. What a nice accent. Good fire pit. A lovely stone bench. And the cliffs over there. It's standing. Skipped lunch today, didn't feel like stopping, just had a bit of chocolate and dried mango, so a big hearty dinner, 3 burritos, my golden brown little piglets of hope, Yeah. It's pretty funny that on a trip where I intended to go with the wind, I still got windbound for 2.5 days. Canoes and wind are just mortal enemies. That's today's progress, not too much. And I am planning to continue down into South Aegean and over across Paul and meandering somewhere in here. There's some nice looking area to the Liano access. Some really nice looking little lakes down there. Northern Lights, electrical storm, and simultaneous sunset and moonrise all in one day. What a planet. Well, the parade of Northern Lights continues. After it was supposed to be good, now it has picked up every night. The last 3 nights, I think, it's been great. And a beautiful morning. Start day 13, now my longest solo ever. My previous longest was 12 days on the Steel River, which is like, I don't know, 6 years ago or something. I can't believe I haven't exceeded that by now, not solo. Not feeling lonely. Wish Aaron was here lots of times, but oh, I feel really good. Cheers. If you ever camp somewhere where there's something like this and you think, oh, that's kind of in the way, let me just draw that. For the sake of photographers everywhere, don't do that. It's like an amazing accent. And just beautiful. It's like a sculpture or a piece of artwork. Wonderful. Rehydrated Dalpalak to get going this morning. Lentils and spinach and whatnot. Oh my. I've been watching too much Northern Lights, so I'm not asleep. I might have the bad brain. Getting on my way, even one of my favorite campsites of the trip, despite the burn. And feeling amazing, but there are some real challenges in my life right now. For instance, this morning I had to choose between paddling at sunrise or having my coffee, breakfast, and tea at sunrise, both of which I adore. So it's a tough life. Hey, cry me a river. Making mountains out of molehills. Yeah, okay. Mountains out of molehills. Mountains out of molehills. We're making mountains out of molehills. He can sing. Mountains
He's gonna be a superstar. No, I've actually got a tea to go. Poured it right before I doused the fire, so I really do have it all. My only real problem now is that I'm running low on batteries. 2 of my batteries got wet on our last trip when our tent leaked, and they've decided they're no longer working. I have power banks, but gonna have to start rationing them. Yeah, I find myself using the camera frivolously, like doing skits and filming things from 4 different angles, such as these cliffs that are coming up again. I filmed them yesterday from 5 different angles, and it'd be very frivolous and stupid of me to film them again, even though there's beautiful morning light right now. So I'm not going to do it. But am I really going to be a slave to the tyranny of electricity? No. It's day 13 of living the dream. It's calm finally. It's going to be a good one. So here's the plan for today. Continue down Aegean into South Aegean, carry on toward Paul Lake. Paul with 2 L's. What's with that? There's a red-tailed hawk hanging around here, a bunch of birds. This is something you don't see every day. Sea cave on an inland lake. Normally they're reserved for seas, as you would imagine, and large water bodies. This is pretty amazing. Look at the ferns in here. The water slapping in here is making a perfect drumming sound too. Spent all morning touring around Aegean. Very nice, but it's supposed to start raining pretty hard this evening, potentially torrential rain. So I'm inclined to get this 100-meter portage done ahead. That should be it for my portaging today. What is in that tree? Is it a grouse? Yeah, it is. And then I'll look for camp on South Aegean. Nice start to the lake. I'm hoping to find something that's not burnt so I can get a little shelter if there's a big storm tonight. Set up a tarp maybe even. South wind's picking up again, so rather than fight the headwind and potentially get drenched, I'll stop here. Some trees, some cover. Not bad. Bit of a mist on the air, so it seems like the timing was good. Nice drainage here. Says it could rain 40 or 50 mils this evening, so hunker down. I'm all set up, tent, tarp, lots of good stick fuel, and that's always a good feeling before a storm. And yeah, it's worked out well. I'm set. all cozied up in the tent, got a book to read, and they'll just chill here until dinner. It's lovely. This is 13 days of bedhead. Well, this weather has cooled things down for a change, which is kind of nice. Getting some penne on, dehydrated sauce, Parmesan, and some mint tea after. So here's where I ended up for day 13. Next is to cross well over, I'm hoping to get through Paul Lake tomorrow. Set up somewhere around here for day 14. Day 15, get to Liano Lake. There are a number of ports in here. And then I'll be getting picked up on day 16 by my outfitter there. That's the plan. Look at this sunset. Oh, it's coming down here. Just the world looks orange right now. Damp, dreary morning to start day 14, but it's not raining, so it's nice to eat and pack up without getting soaked. And now I'm on my way, leaving that camp. Not one of the best, but it was functional. It stayed dry. It was nice having that little spot to cook and whatnot. And it is day 6 of a headwind. Not strong yet, but tomorrow is supposed to be also a headwind from the east, southeast. That's going to be a stronger one, so I got to make progress today. When I look back at myself at the start of this trip, I see such a naive soul, the innocence of a child, full of hope. I thought I could defeat the wind, use it, manipulate it. There was only one who can wield the power of the wind. Sauron. Mega flock! Watch out! Nice to see some more pictographs here on South Aegean, and got a good drenching there. First time all trip, I think I haven't been under nylon to ride out the rain. Got a 120 meter portage coming up into the Bird River, and then a 300 and a 40 into Paul Lake, where I've got a good 10+ kilometer paddle.
On to the 300. After that nasty portage into Royd, I really reset my expectations for the rest of the trip. And then funny enough, since then I haven't used my saw on one portage. It's been all pretty good. This one's a little overgrown, but no saw work. Wet business today though. I'm back for the second load. forward to getting dry in the tent tonight. On to the 40.
Soaked through, staying dry is a little pointless, but still somehow feels nice. Nice spot to have a little snack. Well, it looks like it's going to be a nasty end to the trip. In the forecast, the rest of the day is looking pretty rough, and tomorrow not much better and much windier, so let's chip away. Got some huge lightning go across the sky. I thought I just heard a woodland caribou bugling. It makes a funny sound around this time of year.
The more I think about it, I realize it had to be a bugling woodland caribou. It sounded kind of like a French horn playing a bad high note, and I thought it might be the wind going through my fishing line. When it's taut, it can do that, but there's no wind right now. Well, the wind is back. This is one miserable day. Proceeding cautiously today, sticking close to shore. Wouldn't normally travel on a day like today, but I don't know why, I just keep going. Gotta get back to the access point for one. Getting close to dinner and the rain's finally letting up. I hope it's gonna stay this way. And looking for camp, not gonna be too picky because it's been pretty inhospitable. That's a campsite there on the rock, but it is dense jack pine regrowth and really bad access to the water, slippery and steep, so be a little pickier than that one, but hopefully something turns up soon. Can't wait for a good meal, hot meal, get the tarp up, and yeah, it's gonna feel amazing. This looks more like it. Check it out. It's gonna be it. Got the tarp up quick. I've got a pretty bad shiver, so I'm gonna change and get some wood going, saw it, baton it, and get the stick stove going. It's gonna be some work, but it's gonna be worth it. Test some trees here, make sure they're not rotten. Yeah, that'll work. And get all this wet bark off. Fiber's good. Getting warmer already. You know what they say about cutting firewood. Warm you 3 times. Cutting it, splitting it, burning it. And if you're cooking on it, making a hot drink, 4 or 5 times. It's gonna be delightful. Oh, what a sweet smell. Oh, is what I was thinking about all day. Freeze-dried meal.
Well, the rain was just dropping by to leave a double rainbow. Sun feels amazing. Day turned out alright.
Chicken coconut curry. Another tea ready to pour after this. And some plump blueberries by the water for dessert. Looks good.
Well, that's a wrap on day 14. That was a big one. Just enough time to do everything, and I am ready to collapse. Well, tomorrow's gonna be another big day. Not gonna be an easy end to this trip. It's a dreary start to day 15. There's a cold mist driving under the tarp and everything is soaked, but packed up. Got a fire going and got some mac and cheese and coffee. Food barrel's getting fairly low, so this will have to do. It's gonna be a big day. I've got 8 carries. When I got into Wrist Lake, I was thinking, oh, I can spread all these out, but little did I know I'd be fighting the weather for the next week, so it is what it is now. Got my wet clothes back on and getting on my way. One down into this unnamed lake. Number 2. All ready to go here, 475 meters into Lunch Lake. Well, that one took a little clearing work, first time since that nasty one, but I'm into Lunch Lake here. Got a decent paddle, and I'll be continuing along here to Bunny Lake, Liano, and camp as close as possible to the access tomorrow, where there's one final portage, and then I'll get picked up there. This fire was in 2016, so this Jack Pine Regen, 8 years old. Couldn't resist a cast here. There's a little inflow, and it's the smallest pike yet. Cute. That carry was much better, clear trail. And in between Lunch and East Lunch Lake, there's only one thing to do. Peanut butter and honey chocolate wraps on the way. There's a nice unburnt stretch here on East Lunch. Refreshing to see, it's been a while. Charming little carry here out of East Lunch Lake. Next section is unnamed, I believe. All day yesterday as I was grinding it out in the rain, and today just trying to hammer out portages. It really didn't sit right, and it felt like a bitter way to end a sweet trip. So I messaged my outfitter on my SATCOM and asked if he'd be available the following morning, and he said he can. So I'm gonna go with that. Take another day here and actually enjoy it. Yeah, I feel really good about that. The whole point of this trip was to get off of a schedule, and yeah, lately it's just been the opposite, so this is how I want to end it. You're so very special. I wish I was special. It's a 2-fish day, what do you know? And what is it? Could it be a walleye? Or is it a pike? I think it was a small pike. All I can catch. Huh. Yep. Huh. Could be eatable. That's keepable. Yeah, maybe I'll just have some pike. Well, just dispatched it. It's time for some fresh fish at last. Finally accepted it's gonna be pike, which I don't mind at all, but I love lake trout. And the other ones just haven't been the right size. This one's perfect. Nice to clean up the fillets away from camp. Don't track bears that way. Coming into Three Bears Lake, actually. And this narrow creek is right ahead. It looks beautiful. Not burnt still. Exciting times. All set, ready for the pan. And to get that fish smell off my hands, this stuff is great. I think it's called Sweet Gale. And it smells almost like a lemongrass. Rub that into my palms and just take away this fishy scent. Spruce needles would have done too. Very nice. Well, pretty early on here, there's a beaver dam, and I checked on Glenn's map, which is more detailed, and it does mark two short portages ahead that aren't shown on the other map that I have. So I'm gonna go back and take the safe route. Just want to get to camp, cook up my fish, and have a nice, simple rest of the day. Hopefully get tarp up before rain comes too. Not looking for any trouble. Easy carry, and I think I'm gonna cook up the fish now. I can hear thunder. There's a little campsite, or an old one here, old fire pit. I'm gonna cook it up right now. Yeah, it just got very dark, so I've got the tarp ready. I'll set up here if need be. It's a pretty good spot. I pulled out the spleen from that pike, which I'll now eat raw. Tropical. Thunder rolling in, getting close. As it was getting closer, I started stringing the tarp up because I was like, there's no way this is gonna miss. Oh man, I just got this done in time. Worked out. Wow. This is a big one. All right. Beautiful. Rainwater to wash it down, and a few blueberries for dessert. That just worked out. Okay, seems like that storm has passed. It was a thrilling and delicious first try, and I was tempted to stay there. It's not a bad campsite, pretty cool, but I'm gonna get picky. Hold up for something even better. After some brief confusion, found the next trail, and it's fantastic. What a treat to be going through mature forest again. One to go. Short paddle across Three Bears Lake, and then I'm home free. This one's really short. I can see the water right over there. I'm so happy I could just kiss this blaze. Could be the one. Nice cozy camp for night 15. Also got firewood prep done, washed my face and my feet, got dry shoes on, always great. Trying to dry out everything as best as I can, but it's just damp. Early on day 16. Something big looks like it's coming in. Well, that was a wild start to the day. Nice to watch it come in though, it's always fun. Seems like a bit of calm right now. I'm gonna cook up a good meal, some coffee. Coffee and a last freeze-dried meal, some pad thai. Oh, it's heaven. It is another south wind today, and tomorrow as well. So that'll be today's 8 straight days of a mostly southeasterly wind. Worst possible direction from when my last tailwind got me to Hansen Lake. Put on a solid day, and then ever since, been fighting it. That's weird. Anyway, I think I'm gonna sit tight today. Otherwise, I'm just fighting this. Tomorrow morning I can wake up early, get to Liano Lake, save myself a camp make and break. Well, the sun's actually busting through. That is a very pleasant surprise. It's a nice campsite here. Happy to stay here another night. And I've got everything drying out that I can. Everything's just so musty, especially my traveling pants. This pair I keep dry. And there's where I ended up last night. So it's day 16, and my last human interaction was in the first 24 hours of the trip when I met Don. And he's the only paddler that I've seen. And I saw one motorboat on Gammon Lake where there's a fly-in fishing lodge. From afar, as I was leaving the lake, they weren't even within waving distance. So you would think at this point I'd be feeling lonely and like can't wait to get back to civilization. I haven't felt lonely at all on this trip. Obviously I'm always excited to get back to Erin. Yeah, I'm just a loner and I like it. There's a real sense of self-reliance. Anyway, feeling really good. I'm not even really longing for clean clothes would be nice, but like shower and food and everything. Yeah, I wish I was staying out longer. Well, the latest storm is wrapping up here. It's been on and off all day, so glad I stayed put and just glad to have had the extra day. Glad I took it. Allowed me to finish up my book, Ministry of the Future. It's one of those books that once you read it, it's one you wish that everyone would read. It is about the crises in the world today, namely environmental. There's a huge catastrophe, a heat wave kills tens of millions of people in India. And after that, the world's forever changed, and the UN creates this agency, which the media calls the Ministry for the Future. The ministry's job is essentially to bring the world together on the biggest issues that face the whole planet, all people, not individuals or nations, one global agenda. And if these are issues that weigh heavily on you, there's a quote here, negative reactions to news of biosphere collapse are not uncommon. Grief, sorrow, anger, panic, shame, guilt, dissociation and depression are frequently seen responses to news of global climate catastrophe. These negative reactions can sometimes become extreme enough to be labeled pathological. The state of the environment weighs heavily on me all the time, especially spending a third of the year out here on wilderness trips. You just fear for things that you really love. And if you understand that feeling, then this is a good book to read. It paints a picture of the future full of hope, a utopia really, based around an economic, socioeconomic, environmental, and energy revolution. So there's hope. Got some delicious rainwater off the tarp. It was coming down in buckets there for a bit, and I was sipping it, walking around, thinking how it's been a tale of two trips. The first half of the trip, the forces of nature were with me, but then there was an event. I had heat exhaustion. It was just an awful hot day through that nasty blowdown and the burn from the giant forest fire. And then the rest of the way, I've been fighting nature, fighting the forces of nature. And I just realized the incredible parallels between that and the book and the real world, which is that we're all just cruising along, enjoying the forces of nature while they're agreeable, and then someday, some event happens and everything changes, and then we're fighting it. The story just needs a ministry for the future. So does the world. Stop looking at the world like we're this nation and that nation, but citizens of the same planet. Idealistic? I really don't think so. Having the final fire of the trip here, cooking up dinner. Pennies went out for the last night. The noodles, Parmesan, and dehydrated sauce in here, and a little sriracha left. Just enough of everything. So I'm packing up the tarp. I want to have as little to do tomorrow morning as possible because I've got 3 portages and 2 lakes to cover to meet my outfitter at 10 a.m. for my pickup. And I'm a bit of a punctuality freak, so I wouldn't dare keep him waiting. He's gonna be up early. Day 19, last day of summer. Packed up in drizzle this morning. Wind howled all night. Had me worried that I wasn't going to be able to get back to the access point in time. And that time stress, which I'm notorious for, kept me awake almost the whole night. Slept maybe 2, max 3 hours. The wind has let up a fair bit though, thankfully. So that's the most important thing. We'll get there. Just found the 300-meter carry out of Bunny. And it's just enough light that I can start seeing stuff. To Liano Lake. There's a nasty mist on the air this morning, just crawls under everything, but the wind is very manageable, so I'll take that trade for sure. Not much paddling left. Turned into the final bay here on Liano, and I checked the weather forecast. You can guess what it's going to be tomorrow. Northwest wind, first time in 9 days, and that would have been the perfect tailwind. All good. I got a little tailwind here just for the final couple hundred meters. I'm gonna enjoy it. Made it. One final carry back to the access point where the outfitter's gonna pick me up. The only painful thing about such a wonderful dream is waking up.